Guys, welcome to the Power of Great podcast with your host, Matt Crane, founder of the Power of Great podcast, as well as the Power of Great live stream series that airs Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. But guys, I'm going to tell you, you've heard podcasts before, but you've never heard a podcast with this much power. You've never heard a podcast that's going to deliver this much energy, right? No one man should have this much power, right, Kanye? Right, Kanye? I feel you, big guy. So, guys, welcome to the show. I'm really excited about launching this. You know, it's been a long time coming, guys. It's been a long process, a long, heart-fought road. But I'm going to tell you, we've got a man that's going to set the precedent for every other guest that's going to come into this podcast tonight, Mr. Anthony J Conklin. Anthony, what's going on, my man?
Oh, Matt, I don't know if you're talking about me or you're talking about somebody else. You set the bar pretty high there, but I'm pretty great, Matt. How about you?
I'm doing great. So, guys, I'm so honored to have Anthony here. You know, Anthony has been one of he's just got an amazing story, guys. He's a very well-respected thought leader and just a true giant in the solar energy field. Travels the country, travels the world, and just does so many speeches and conversations and thought leader talks. He's been interviewed by Bloomberg. He's been all over the map. He's also a very well-respected and thought of DJ. This is a story that I'm excited for him to share with you guys. And he delivers some of the most powerful keynotes that you'll really find in the marketplace today. And I'm honored to have him here. But, you know, another reason why Anthony Conklin is a true power of great, is a true definition of the power of great. He's the first human being on planet Earth to interview Tony Robbins, his ultimate hero, like the mentor of all mentors for him, live on Blab. And I'm going to uncork that story on how he got to that point. So we want to welcome our guest tonight, guys. This is a live taping of our podcast that will be uploaded to iTunes, Stitcher, Podcast Republic. And I want to set the tone for our audience base. It's your participation. It's your questions. It's you giving us live feedback on this show that's really going to catapult this podcast to a power of great level, because every show you're going to tell us how we can get better for the next show. Fair enough, guys? So if you're ready to rock, I want you to say power of great in the chat box, because we're getting ready to go live with my man, Anthony Conklin. So, Anthony, tell us a little bit about who you are, my friend.
Well, first of all, you're making me feel like a rock star, and I think you're the rock star. So, Matt, thank you so much for having me here. I really appreciate it. I'm honored, and it's a privilege to sit in a square next to you, who has accomplished so much in the year that I've known you. You've just done some great stuff, and I'm really happy and proud, and I'm honored to be sitting in a square with you. So I want to say thank you, Fat. So the question, how things got started, I mean, it's a pretty simple story. Really starting from, they say begin at the beginning. So when I think about the beginning of my journey as a speaker and as a keynote, it's really all about my story. You know, I always try to let people know what my story is, because the story is really defines who you are as a person. It defines where you go in your life. It defines where you've come from. It also defines the message that you send, specifically, not only as a speaker, but also as a husband-to-be, as a father, as a friend, as a mentor, as a coach, as a neighbor, as somebody in the community. It all comes from your story. So I think the easiest way to say, how did it all get started was, I loved the music business for many, many years. I spent 25 years in the entertainment space running a company called Ace Music. And a lot of what I did was working for MTV, working for New York radio. I was a dancer on MTV. I'm sure if you troll through YouTube, you'll find that video of me dancing up on stage.
So I'm gonna have to stop you right there. Time out, guys. So dancer on MTV.
Yeah, I was that guy.
Is it sad that I'm catching a little J-Lo when she was a fly girl?
Yeah, you know? Yeah. Actually, I just to give you a real quick color, I worked in a place called the Fun House, and it was in New York City. It was on 18th Street. And I used to hang out with Madonna. It was me, Madonna, John Jellybean Benitez. We used to hang out back in the 80s when we used to show up at the clubs at 12 o'clock and go home at 6 o'clock in the morning. So this is back when I was 18 years old. So it was way, way back in the day. But it all started really, Matt, because I loved the sound of music and what it did to my soul. It opened up things in my life, and I expressed myself through music. I was learning disabled. I'm still learning disabled. I have challenges when I speak because I can't get words out the right way. So I do have a learning disability, and my only way to communicate effectively was through my emotions and through music. And then after spending a number of years in the nightclub business, I got into a position where I opened up my own company. So in November of 1988, I was told, hey, why don't you start this DJ business where you can maybe make some money? So I went to a place called Radio Shack, which maybe some of you may or may not know. I don't know if it's in existence anymore. I bought a couple of turntables and some speakers, and I began my journey as a DJ.
2 turntables and a microphone.
2 microphones, exactly what I did. And then I spent a number of years as a DJ, and then I realized if I can control the music and if I can speak to people, maybe I can grow a business that way. So I went from being the DJ guy to the MC. I felt like I had so many things I wanted to share about the music and what it meant for me that it naturally evolved into the MC business. So I did that for a number of years, and it's coming up on it's coming up on 27 plus years I've been in the DJ business. So that really was sort of the basis of my life as a speaker. And then and the thing about your story, guys, I want you to know is your story really defines who you are, the story that you tell yourself. I know a lot of you that are out there that are entrepreneurs, we all find ourselves in situations where we say, well, I don't come from the right background. I don't have the right money, and my parents were divorced, and I was abandoned, and I was, you tell yourself these disempowering stories. But if you can make that story empower you to make changes in your life to be better, it actually catapults you into a different plateau. And in 2010, I found out I was getting divorced. I was married to somebody for 20 years. I had 4 children. I had a 6-figure plus income. I had a 7-figure valuation to my business and to my real estate holdings, and I lost it all. It literally went down the tubes. Life-changing. That defining moment changed my life. It was when I said, enough is enough. And so who I am is really what my story is. So that's my story up until 2010. I mean, I could share other things with you, but I think that really sort of set the basis for who I am and where I came from. So,
yeah, and I think Anthony, for our listeners, and especially those that are going to be listening to this on podcast, is that, how truly important is it to always recite that story? When people ask you, tell me about Anthony, to really keep that story not only in its entirety, but to make sure that you keep that almost in your front pocket, not your back pocket.
I think your story should come out naturally. If you look at people like Tony Robbins has been a business strategist and a sort of a personal development strategist for 38 years. I mean, he's worked with 100 million people and countries around the planet, and he is the most rehearsed speaker you ever want to meet. And his speech really comes from his personal story. Now, he changes it a little bit every once in a while to add more color depending on the audience. But I think your story, if you really want to be an orator or a communicator or a leader, an entrepreneur, you have to be able to communicate your story because your story belongs to you. A lot of people spend time chasing everyone else's story and chasing someone else's sort of path and journey when you have your own journey and your own story sitting right in front of you, literally right in front of you. So I think it's critical that you should be able to recite your story literally off the top of your head, right on the tip of your tongue, and be able to crystallize it and have it add value to say, hey, I've gone through that, or I know someone who's gone through that before. Because if you try to recite someone else's story, Matt, you're going to lose people. You're definitely going to lose people.
Well, and it's awesome. I'm so glad that you brought that up because I can remember, a year ago when we were having this very same conversation and you were like, well, Matt, tell me who you are. And I went on the commercialized route and you shut me down immediately. And you said, hey, man, that's great and all, but who's Matt? And what you said really stood out to me is your story belongs to you. And, guys, the reason why the Power of Great podcast is so important to me is because it's a culmination of my story. And I'm excited and honored that we can have people like Anthony Conklin, who's going to encourage each one of you who right now is still trying to define your story, when in reality, you should just recite your story. Wouldn't you say, Anthony?
I agree with you, and just to give some, I always like to make sure that people understand the power of what Matt is trying to accomplish, and I admire what you're doing here, Matt, and I admire the changes you've gone through and the sort of clarity that you bring to your story, because people want to hear your story. I had an interesting conversation with a coach today, and she's going through some challenges as a coach. And she reminded me, I've been doing this for a year and I want to go back to a full-time job and I don't think I can do it. And I said, recite your story. Recite your story from the moment you wanted to become an entrepreneur to where you are today. And after she recited her story, I had her shift her thinking just a little bit. And now she's even more pumped and more juiced to go back and recite her story, which empowers her to do more, to be more, to double down, to go all in. Because, I talk about passion, purpose, and why, right? When you find what your passion is, right? You walk in your purpose, and your why is the glue that holds those things together. Your passion is something that calls you, Matt. It's not something you have to run and chase. Your passion is something that actually says, I can do this in my sleep. I could do this sleepwalking. I could do this without any effort at all. And I know there's some people in here who do that well. I mean, you got people who are in the special needs business or the therapy business. You have people that are in real estate business, and that's a tough business. But when you go back to your passion and tap into your passion, that should be the starting point for any journey that you want to go on. And it all comes from your story.
Absolutely. And Anthony, I really extracted this from you on that. And it kind of leads me into my next question. And I'll say, how much power does one really have to possess to understand greatness? When I think about the power of great, and I have people all the time ask me, why the power of great? What makes you the authority figure on the power of great? Great's such a broad topic. And I'll tell people this: I didn't have a terrible life. I didn't have bad upbringings. I knew both sets of my grandparents. I didn't have like some tranquilized moment that made me shift. What I had was self-inflicted wounds that truly cost me opportunities to excel to a level of professional baseball. And when I had that moment and all these great things that I thought was my definition, when none of those things came to fruition, even more in my time of need, no one showed up. It was because none of those folks had truly understood the power of my story. They had only seen the surface of what I thought my story needed to be framed like. So kind of break down to us a little bit, Anthony, from when you think passion, purpose, and why, how much power does one really need to possess, and how much greatness will one achieve once they really harness that power they already have and turn it into passion, purpose, and why?
Most people don't realize, Matt, that your power is already there. It's just a matter of turning it on. A lot of things when I speak to an audience, I think about passion, purpose, and why. Your passion is something that is already there. And the problem is most of us ignore it because we're afraid we'll be found out, or we're afraid we'll be judged, or we might not be good enough, or we might not be powerful enough. You don't realize you have just as much power, if not more power, than the top 50, 100 speakers, business coaches, life coaches. I mean, you have the power already within you. So when you accept that you have the power, and you open up yourself to your passion, your purpose, your why falls into place. Your passion is something that calls you, it draws you into being something. Like for me, my passion is I want to change one life every day for as many days as the Lord gives me to walk on this planet. That's my goal. If I can change one person's life to make one slight change so they can change the trajectory of their life to be more, I've accomplished that. Whether it be my kids, whether it be my neighbor, my beautiful fiance, whether it be anybody in my life, whether it be you, Matt, some of the people that are in this room who know me pretty well. And for those of you who don't know me, it's all about allowing the passion to just come out. When your passion comes out, you find your purpose. So my passion is I want to speak to people. So what's my purpose? My purpose is to go out and spread the word, as they say, spread the gospel, and to go have that crystallize across many platforms, whether it be personal, financial, relationships, business, spiritual. I want it to cross every possible platform, every possible level in life. And your why is the glue that holds it together. So your why is where you live, eat, and breathe every day. When you get up every day, your passion fuels your why. My why is because I know it's my responsibility as a man, as a father, as a partner, as a neighbor, as an executive, as a human being, that I have to leave a mark in the universe. Steve Jobs calls it a ding. I want to leave a mark in the universe. I want to know that when I'm gone 50 years down the road, I've made a difference. So that's my why.
I want to leave a mark on the universe. I want to leave a mark on the universe. I want to leave a mark on the universe.
I want to leave a mark on the universe. Yeah, that's what I want to do. So the power that you possess is already there. And when you live in those three realms of life, your passion, your purpose, and the glue or the bridge that holds those three together, your greatness is so strong that people get infected with your greatness. They want to be around you. They want to be a part of your circle. And this is not just about making money. This is about changing lives. Okay. There are a handful of people that I know in this room that I wake up every day, can't wait to hear from them, because I've helped them in their life, but what they don't realize is they've helped me just by giving me feedback and being a part of my circle. They've made changes in my life. They know who they are, and they're here in this room, and I'm so grateful to have them. So your power and your greatness are all right there if you allow it in. You have to allow it in, Matt.
So I want to backtrack, because you really brought something up that I think most people missed, and I want to make sure that they did not miss this, because it's going to lead into a powerful question, guys. And before we go to that, I just want to welcome each and every one of you to the very first episode 001 of the Power of Great podcast with your host, Matt Crane. We have Anthony J Conklin in the seat, guys. And I just want to say thank you to everyone that's already engaged in this podcast and already making it even better. And we have our sponsors that I want to also give a great shout out to: Rush Impact Marketing, my man Rush Marketing with Jeremy Warner, as well as the Smarter app. These guys are making our podcast possible and are a huge driving force behind everything we're going to be doing with this platform. So I wanted to say a big thank you to them. But, Anthony, you said something about you already possess the power. And what you did is you parlayed that into most people don't show it because they're afraid to get found out. Mm-hmm. What I see, and I want to get your take on this, is what I see is that people truly have a misguided circle because they aren't showing their power. They're still afraid to get found out. So walk me through your thoughts on that one, and how somebody really understanding their passion, their purpose, and their why can naturally get rid of these things without those harsh conversations or that need to have that, that one-on-one kind of that intimate, awkward moment. Kind of walk me through that. And then also, if you don't mind, for our audience and for our listeners, maybe walk us through one of your moments where that helped you get out of a situation that might hurt you in the long run.
Sure. Well, it all comes down to, I call the power of five, Matt. And you are the product. You are the sum average of the five people you spend time with. I mean, if you go back and think of Jim Rohn, that's really where it all started. When you think about the five people you spend time with, if four people are broke, you're the fifth broke person. Okay. If four of them are drunk, you're the fifth drunk person. Now, it may not happen right away, but through the power of compounding, it will happen over time. You'll naturally absorb the four people that you hang out with. So you have to find people that you know, like, trust, that inspire you, empower you to be you. And you have to find it. You really have to look for it. Okay. So usually it starts with family members. And the problem is family members are going to say, don't do that. It's a little risky. You got to stay away from that stuff. You got to find people that you aspire to be around, aspire to become, and that will naturally allow you to feel comfortable. On my interview with Tony Robbins, I mean, after being a little concerned after the first 30 seconds, because I just was trying to get a hold of my composure, I felt really comfortable. I felt Tony was sitting in my living room and I had a conversation with him. And I remember interjecting and interrupting him in a confident way, because I really wanted to dig deeper, not only for him to share his knowledge, but also to have it feed back to me, to the audience, to do that. Now, a year ago, I might not have been able to do that, but I realize now, and I talk about this every day. I talk about this on my Periscopes. I talk about it on my Facebook Live. Is that you are a product of the five people you spend time with. Find five people that you aspire to be around. And if you can't find 5 people, imagine 5 people. Okay. Napoleon Hill uses the term the invisible council, where he surrounds himself with 5 people that he wants to aspire to become. Napoleon Hill used, Thomas Edison, and used all these greats from back in the day. For me, I close my eyes. I have a Tony Robbins. I have a Les Brown. I have a Sir Richard Branson. I have Steve Jobs. I have John F. Kennedy. I have Thomas Jefferson. I have Napoleon Hill. And I just think of these people in my space. And those are the people that I want to aspire to be like, become, and emulate. So what that does is that opens you up to being vulnerable enough and comfortable enough to say, you know what? I got this. So I hope that answers at least the first part of your question.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're spot on. You're spot on there. So, what I love there, guys, is that Anthony left you with no excuses. If you can't find 5 people, imagine 5 people. Holy cow, guys. We imagine people all the time that we have a conversation with, that we want to be around, and how much accountability could be there in that statement, guys. So yeah. I'll put that in the chat box. Make sure you don't miss that one. If you can't find 5, then imagine 5.
Imagine 5. Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's awesome.
I mean, listen, Matt, we're all on Blab, we're all on Periscope, we're all on YouTube. I mean, information is so readily available. We spend a lot of time looking at motivational videos and listening to motivational tapes. What you don't realize is that power of great is already the 50-foot oak tree that's growing inside you. You just have to let the branches out. You have to open up and let those branches grow. Let that 50-foot become 100-foot with massive, powerful branches and all these leaves that are going to fall onto other people so they can grow their branches. That's what you have to think. You got to think, what can I do to give it away and pass it forward and pay it forward to other people? I do that on my Snapchats every day. I try to give as much value to everybody on Snapchat every day about what I do. And that's key. I'm going to come back to that. So let me answer the second part of your question, Matt, if I may. You talked about what was that defining moment for me where I had to be vulnerable or to open up? Well, I think it had to do with my early days on Blab. I was, I wasn't a very nice guy. I was pretty cocky. I was pretty arrogant. I thought I knew my stuff. And, I came in thinking that I was all that in a bag of chips, as Miss Vicky Fitch would say. But at the end of the day, I realized that I got some feedback from some people. They said, Anthony, you need to step back, be a little bit more of a listener. And what I did was I reached out to some people to say, listen, what do you think of this? And I showed them my recordings and I got the same feedback. I got to listen a little bit more. I got to slow down. Don't talk so much about you. Talk about you and the value you add. And I use that every single day before I press record on my phone and do a Snapchat, before I press record and do a Facebook Live. I'm like, what can I do to give something away that somebody can take with them and they can own it? I want you to own your greatness, own your power, own your greatness, and then give it away, because your power is nothing if you can't give it to someone else to carry it forward. We stand on the shoulders of giants. We do. Jim Rohn, Oren Sweat Martin, Darren Hardy, Tony Robbins, Les Brown, John Maxwell. We're all standing on the shoulders of Socrates and all these greats. We need to stand on shoulders of others and put people on our shoulders so they can stand on other shoulders. You got to pay it forward. And that was my defining moment. And what I've tried to do in the past year and a half is stick to that mantra, is think about what value I can bring, because it's not about me. It's about what I can give away to somebody.
Well, and Anthony, I'll tell you, as we're getting ready to wrap up the show, one thing that you do better than anyone is that you really do take criticism the right way. I have sometimes I put a defense mechanism up. I've never seen a defense mechanism with you. And that's something that's very humbling. That's something that I also try to work on. And
you can't hide. You can't hide, Matt. You can't hide.
Exactly.
I want you to hear this, and I want to share this with the audience. And I think this is really important. Be what you're meant to be, because eventually that's when everyone will see. You have to live in your life's purpose because eventually that's what you'll wind up doing. We're all afraid of criticism. We're all afraid of getting knocked down. We're all afraid of being pushed back. But you know what? You have to be able to say, bring it on, because take criticism as a ladder that gets you to that next level. Because when people criticize you, what they're doing is they're listening to you. They're really listening to you. And you got to take it as a lesson learned to build yourself up to that greatness, to take it from here to your passion, purpose, and building that Y bridge. Bring it on. Bring it on.
I love it. So, Anthony, as we get ready to wind the show down, what's one tool, what's one tip, or tool, or maybe a something that you can suggest to our audience base, to our listener base, that can help them truly start having some self-accountability, to start driving towards that greatness, to start really harnessing that power? Give us one tool that you would suggest.
Well, it's a tool that's got a couple of parts to it. So I would say that if you aren't journaling, you should be journaling every single day of your life. The journal is sort of the foundation of the house that you're going to build, which is your house of your life. So if you want to pour the slab of the foundation of your life, you should absolutely journal. There are many, many different journal styles out there. I strongly suggest the Tim Ferriss 5-minute journal. You can find it on Google, on YouTube. It's called the 5-minute journal. He opens up with a quote. I could tell you my journaling. I open up with how I felt the night before. I write down an affirmation and a quote. I write down 3 things that I'm grateful for and appreciative of. What 3 things could happen today to make day really great. Then I write down my large BHAG goals. You call them your 10 times goals or your 10X goals. And then you write things as if they've already accomplished it. You probably finish your journaling between 5 and 10 minutes. And then the second part of that, Matt, is you got to go back and you got to look at your journal and say to yourself, what one thing did I do today to get myself closer to my destiny? Never walk away from the sight of any goal unless you take one small action step. I had a conversation with the young lady here in the room the other day about getting disorganized and getting upset with a customer service issue. And the first question I say to her is, does that serve you? And you know what? It probably doesn't. But if it does serve you, take it as a lesson learned to grow from it and learn from it and never do that again.
I love it, man. I love it. Pour the slab for your foundation. And I tell you, and so, what we call them here, Anthony, on the Power of Great, is we call them the power goals, or your non-negotiables, right? Create your non-negotiables, those goals that no one, no person, no thing can ever move you off of. And that's when you'll be able to take that passion, that purpose, and that why, and really plant your flag in the ground. Recognize that your current situation is not your defining moment, and push through to the rewards on the other side. Anthony, where can people find you? How can we watch more of your stuff? And, where can we get just more of Mr. Anthony J Conklin?
I'm everywhere at Anthony J Conklin. I'm here on Blab, on Periscope. I'm also on Snapchat at Anthony J Conklin, same name, so it's easy to find me. A lot of what you'll see is on Facebook Live. I'll drop a link into my Facebook Live, but just do a search for Anthony J Conklin on Facebook Live. You can find me there. I'd love to have the opportunity to come speak to you guys. I'll come down. I'll fly anywhere to come meet with you. Please go to my website to sign up and get my latest news bulletin, my latest blog. I actually just posted my most recent blog tonight about picking up the phone and using it as a weapon. My website is anthonyjconklin.com. Sign up, and I'd love to get a chance to speak with you. And I'm so grateful for this opportunity, Matt. You're an amazing host, and I wish you all the success, and may the wind be on your back. And as my mom would say, rest in peace, may the road rise to meet you.
Absolutely, man. So, guys, you have been live on episode 001 of the Power of Great podcast with your host, Matt Crane, and we've had Anthony J Conklin in the seat. And I want to tell you guys this. The Power of Great is not just the movement. It's not just a gimmick. It's not just something to get followers, and it's not anything that we just want you to listen to. What we want you to do is walk away from every episode, every comment, and every nugget, and truly understand that your current situation is not your defining moment. It's when you plant your flag in the ground and you push through to the other side and you go after those rewards. You're able to take that foundation and truly be able to build the life of great. I'm your host, Matt Crane, Anthony Conklin. I love you, man. Great to have you on the show tonight.
Thank you so much, Matt.
Guys.